It's April. The Atlanta Hawks have just clinched the East. You and your teammate were out celebrating. What happened?
Basically, the police, asked for the club to be shut down, so the security, proceed and ask people to leave. And a little bit later, an officer come straight at me in an aggressive manner and telling me basically to get the hell out of here. The police stayed right behind me and telling me to keep moving in an aggressive way. And before I even know it, there's a guy that comes to me, and I had seen him before going to the club, and he had asked me for some money. And after the club, he comes back to me and asked me. A
homeless person.
And he was fairly close to me when I tried to give him the money the first time, and one of the police officer basically, moved him further away from me. And I just did a few steps, tried to give him the money, and that's when one of the other officer pushed me on the side and told me that, I was going to jail.
How did it escalate from that point?
Well, everything happened fairly quickly. I didn't quite understand what was going on. There was no clear order on their end, so I didn't really understand, why I was getting arrested or anything like that. Again, they're the police, and I wasn't going to try to resist or anything. But before I knew, it went from 1 to 3 to 5, and basically somebody, coming from behind, kicking me in the leg, and people pulling me on both sides and grabbing me on the neck. It was, rough altercation.
You suffered a broken leg. Mm-hmm. How did that happen?
Well, it was while they were arresting me. One of the officers came from behind and kicked me in the leg.
And you had ligament damage?
Correct.
As well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a serious injury. It was my first time that I needed surgery. And I had a, significant injury and a big surgery following that incident.
The officers have said that you were belittling of one of them, that you called him a midget. Did that happen?
They were being really aggressive, and all I said that at first, is that they could talk to us in a nicer way, that it works just as well. And, I guess they took offense to that, and one said that with or without a badge, you would me up, so at that point, I responded, and, in the heat of the moment, I guess, or something like that, the worst thing that I said is call him a midget.
Do you feel that you were singled out because of your race?
It could be a factor, definitely, especially I think when you see what's going on nationwide with some of the stories that come out. I think there's a little bit of a pattern there.
What about in this case in particular? What would lead you to believe that?
I mean, yeah, the fact that my teammate was with me. My
white.
Teammate is white. I was, black. I was wearing a hoodie that night, and I don't know exactly, what was the real cause. But yeah, I think, maybe race was one of it.
You faced a series of charges, but you were offered a plea deal, mm-hmm. and the deal in the end was, we're going to strike these from your record in 6 months. But instead, you went to trial. Why didn't you take the deal?
Because it wasn't right. It wasn't right. I didn't have to plead guilty to anything. To me, that's what it felt. They wanted me to do a day of community service and basically be on probation sort of things for 6 months after I didn't do anything and I got my leg broken.
But you risked going to jail, maybe mm-hmm. for as long as a year.
I was so confident that, just if the real story could come out, again, and I want to thank the jury, because they were great, they were smart people, they listened to both sides of the story, and they came out with the right judgment.
It became public last week that you had filed a claim to the tune of $50 million, but you hadn't decided whether or not you were going to file a civil lawsuit. Will you?
We've decided to file a civil lawsuit against the city of New York, the New York Police Department, and the officers that were involved.
Why?
Because there's a lot of unknown about how this will affect me 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
The headline is going to be that an NBA player is suing the city of New York and the police department and these officers who were involved that night. You're going to be in New York, you're going to be playing at the Garden, and there are officers everywhere. you will be seeing them. What will that be like?
I don't know what they be saying, but I mean, I'm not fearing for my life. I don't think they're gonna come and jump on me at the Madison Square Garden, and I hope actually some of them, you know, can rally behind the cause and say, yeah, this is the right thing. It's fair to say that officers that did this to me could in a year from now do this to somebody else. Is that right? Is that okay? And you know, they were supposedly doing their job. Is that part of their job to do something like this to an innocent man and then to take him to trial and you know, have him risk a year in jail? Is that how it's supposed to go? And I'm just one, you know, amongst many that's here, you know, saying that, you know, something is not right, and hopefully we can together come with some changes and solution.